Hi, welcome. I'm having a bit of a party around here this week, which you probably noticed. Did you figure out the reason why though? It's because when I get to the second game of this week, that's Sonic CD. I wish I had the real box, I've just got the Gems collection, I'm afraid. That will be the 100th game that I've played this year in the year of retro gaming. Amazing. So, I've been doing this for over 8 months now, and I've still got a lot of gaming to do. So for now, it's party time. Grab yourself a piece of cake, blow up a balloon, and join me for this week's games. First up, it's Bubsy the Bobcat.
Bubsy. He's almost a legend now in Misguided Potential. This game was hyped so much in the months leading up to its release, lots of people were actually expecting it to be as good as Mario or Sonic. Clearly it's not, and I'll go into the reasons why in a minute, but is Bubsy really as bad as its reputation now claims?
I could possibly go wrong.
Okay, moving on. First of all, Bubsy's levels mimic Sonic's much more than Mario's. They're massive levels, tall as well as wide, and there's multiple paths you can take to reach the goal. Bubsy can also move pretty fast when he gets his speed up, so yeah, this is essentially a Sonic clone. There are a couple of things that seriously hold Bubsy back from greatness though. One is the fact that he's a one-hit kill kind of guy. I hate it when developers do that. No room for error. If one of the woolies so much as sneezes on you, you're dead. That's annoying. Sonic had his rings to protect him from any accidental high-speed collision, but Bubsy's got nothing. Especially in some of the later levels, you'll walk 2 steps, then die. Then you'll take another 2 steps, then die. Then die again. And again. And again, and again. It's just a good thing that Bubsy's got passwords for every level, so you can jump to whatever section of the game you want.
Next time, I get a stunt cat.
Another problem is the really strange running and jumping momentum. It's very difficult to show you how this works, but trust me when I say it's sometimes a fight to actually control Bubsy's movement, especially in his jumps. Think of it this way. Did you ever accidentally hold down your Nintendo 64 control stick when you turn on the console? Remember how Mario would be pulling in another direction than where you wanted to go? Bubsy's sometimes like that. It's really weird. A couple of months extra playtesting wouldn't have hurt. Each world, of course, has its own theme. You got the mountains, you got the carnival, the Wild West, the jungle, all that. None of it is actually linked in any way. It's just Bubsy going around the world collecting his wool balls from the nasty aliens who stole them. The graphics are pretty simple, but they're nice. Bubsy's full of personality and his death scenes are amusing. The first time, anyway. If you're going to play Bubsy, be prepared to see a lot of death scenes. The Mega Drive version is pretty much identical. The graphics were clearly made to work on both. How bad is the music, though? Bubsy isn't a train wreck. I believe his PlayStation game was. The original is still pretty good fun to play for the most part, but its frustrating controls and one-hit kills mean that it's not as much fun as it should be, and that's a shame. I do reckon I prefer to play this over Aero the Acrobat though. Here it is folks, the 100th game. As I mentioned back in episode 22, Sonic the Hedgehog was split into 2 teams after the original game. The American team created Sonic 2, and the Japanese team came up with Sonic CD. Because of this, there's some things that seem mysteriously absent in Sonic CD, namely the spin dash and tails. But it's got FMV! Check out this animated intro! Whoa! Unbelievable that a games console can play a cartoon. The game itself could pretty easily have been done on any other console, but thanks to the Mega CD's storage space, the graphics are a bit more detailed and the music is pretty awesome, no longer having to rely on the Mega Drive's crappy sound chip. The main drawcard of Sonic CD is that every level actually has 3 different versions of itself, past, present and future. You obviously start off in the present, but by hitting the signposts and running really fast, you can jump back or forward in time, which is pretty nifty. But honestly, you can play through the entire game without even bothering with the time jumping. It's not essential, it's just a cool extra. Apart from that, it's a fairly standard Sonic game. Fortunately, back then Sonic games were still really good, and this one's no exception. The levels are varied, although not as much as Sonic 2's, and there's a cool 3D special stage that was pretty wow-worthy back in '93, much better looking than Sonic 2's pipe level. But I think the biggest problem with Sonic is that the market was absolutely saturated with Sonic games. Just in the 8 and 16-bit eras, there were about 6 billion Sonic games, all with pretty much the same gameplay. People always rat on Mega Man for churning out unoriginal sequels, but Sonic's got to be up there too. There were just so many Sonic games around, Sega pretty much flooded their own franchise, and then they made it 3D and it all went pear-shaped from there. Anyway, back in '93, Sonic was still fairly fresh, and Sonic CD is an excellent addition to any gamer's library. Although, I still reckon Sonic 2 is better. You know, it amazes me that THQ somehow survived the years. Their 16-bit games were terrible. They were beyond terrible. Home Alone, Pit Fighter, the list goes on. They were all made by THQ, and they were all awful games. So when you see there's a movie license game by THQ, you don't get your hopes up. I won't bother going into the details of how Stephen King's short story of the Lawnmower Man got turned into a movie that bear no resemblance to his book whatsoever, because that story's been told many times before. Of course, the virtual reality menace from the movie is nothing but laughable now, but in the early 90s, everyone was pretty convinced that VR was the only way video games could really progress in the future. So now we have the Lawnmower Man, the video game that has really nothing to do with the movie, that really has nothing to do with the book anyway, whatever. So you start off in this really kind of dull and boring level where you're going from side to side just shooting guys, which I don't remember happening at all in the movie, but it happens here. Anyway, you find a virtual reality portal and suddenly you go into the cyber world. Now, there are lots of different types of cyber levels within the game. In some you're just flying through space, in some you're in a spaceship and you have to shoot stuff. It's really got a fair amount of variety and it's very weird and computery. I wouldn't necessarily say it's great, but it's certainly better than most of the stuff that THQ churned out back in the 90s. It's a weird one, that's for sure. I don't quite know how to rate this. It's not really very good, but it's certainly different and it's interesting, so well, why not? I'll say it's 6.
So that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Next week we have the Blue Bomber in his 5th appearance. Things are gonna get a little silly, and let the bombs fly. See you next time. Until then, I've got something else that I have to attend to. Peace out.